But speaking of football, let's talk about the New York Jets, man. Robert Salah got fired. He got fired. And the New York Jets, I'm reading a statement here. This is from Woody Johnson. This is on Tuesday morning when he decided to fire Robert Salah. This morning, I informed Robert Salah that he will no longer serve as the head coach of the Jets. I thanked him for his hard work these past 3.5 years and wish him and his family well moving forward. This was not an easy decision, but we are not where we should be given our expectations. And I believe now is the best time for us to move into a different direction. Jeff Ulbrich will serve as our interim head coach for the remainder of the season. He's a tough coach who has the respect of the coaches and players on this team. I believe he, along with the coaches on the staff, can get the most out of our talented team and attain the goals we established this offseason. According to Jay Glazer from Fox Sports, Robert Salah was blindsided when he heard the news. Matter of fact, y'all, didn't Robert Salah, didn't he get escorted out of the building by security?
Yeah, he did.
They wouldn't even let that man talk to his team.
Yeah,
They let the man talk let him talk to his team, bro. It's a joke, bro.
Yeah, the Jets fired him after a 20-36 record. They're right now with a 2-3 record this season. They're coming off a tough loss against the Minnesota Vikings. They're along with one of the few teams with the Kansas City Chiefs that are undefeated. BRF, I'm gonna let you go first, man. What were your thoughts about the whole Robert Salah news?
For me, with what that man has had to endure being the coach of the New York Jets, from mainly the biggest thing was having Zach Wilson as his quarterback. And the fact that he was able to keep the New York Jets somewhat competitive. Maybe not necessarily division winning competitive, but possibly sneaking and getting a wild card competitive. With Zach Wilson as his quarterback, man kept the perennial top 7 defense in the clip every year since he's been with the Jets. Because we know his calling when he was with the San Francisco 49ers, his calling card was defense, and he brought it with the Jets. That team he's got now, that defense is the reason why they're even 2-3 now, why they are like competitive in their games. This reeks Aaron Rodgers. This reeks, smells. This is Aaron Rodgers. This ain't nothing but Aaron Rodgers. You want to know how I know it's Aaron Rodgers? Of course, apparently, he wanted to fire Nathaniel Hackett, or at the very least take play calling duties from him. I think he wanted to fire Nathaniel Hackett. And I guess word got out that he wanted to fire him. So, and Aaron Rodgers being the diva that he probably put something in that front office. I'm telling you, this is all Aaron Rodgers. You can't tell me this ain't Aaron Rodgers, because Nathaniel Hackett is his boy, and he just put the. It's a joke. I mean, it's a flat out joke that this man got fired when it's not even all his fault. Aaron Rodgers has been not that good this year. We get it. He's coming. He's coming off an Achilles injury. I get it. I understand. But the reason why I don't want to necessarily use the Achilles injury, you can look no further. Champ, you can attest. You can look no further than what the Atlanta Falcons are doing right now with Kirk Cousins at their starting quarterback, coming off the exact same injury. This man just set a single game franchise record with the Falcons, throwing 509 yards and 4 touchdowns, beating the Bucs. Aaron Rodgers has similarly gifted players on that offense with the Jets. He has Garrett Wilson. He has Mike Williams. He has Breece Hall. He has a stud rookie in Braylon Allen. Tyler Conklin is a serviceable tight end in his own right as well. He's got talent. And the fact that he hasn't, and we even said this, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to be great for that team to really contend because they got a sick defense. All he's got to do is play competent, smart football. Be more of a necessarily, if you want to say a game manager, be more of a game manager. You know what I'm saying? Pull out old school Rodgers every once in a while, like you saw against New England, even though New England is a trash team. We know that. But this reeks Aaron Rodgers. And I know this because as soon as Robert Salah got fired, they gave the interim spot to Jeff Ulbrich. What's the first thing they do? They made Todd Downing the play caller and took the play calling duties from Nathaniel Hackett anyway. So come on, bro. This is nothing but Aaron Rodgers. And it's a joke because why are we giving this 38, 39-year-old man all this stroke as soon as he gets into the Jets, but yet mad about Hassan Reddick wanting you traded for him, knowing he was wanting an extension, but yet we giving all this power to Aaron Rodgers, who didn't have the greatest year his last year at Green Bay. And honestly, outside of the 2010 run, what does he command as far as his playoff performances? I get he's a multiple-time MVP. I get he has the one ring. But outside of 2010, he ain't been all spectacular in the playoffs to command any type of leverage or respect like this to just say, I want this guy. He brings in Randall Cobb last year, who was well past his prime, but he wanted his boys there. Nathaniel Hackett, bring him in as the LT. He wanted his boys there. And then you're going to get rid of a coach who has his defense on lock, competitive, one of the more dominant units in the entire National Football League. And because you're mad that he wants to fire Nathaniel Hackett, you put the birdie out to the front office, and then they just get rid of him like that out the blue. It's a joke. It's a joke. This is why the New York Jets franchise are the New York Jets franchise, and why they're never going to go anywhere until they have full competency in their front office. Ain't no way you should be listening to Aaron Rodgers like that, and it causing him to fire a coach who's basically done the best that he could with the resources that were given to him, which is out of a good defense, nothing. And then you want to get rid of them like that. I hope they lose every game for the rest of the season. I do not wish well for that team. I don't. Because you had a good coach right there who's doing the best that he can with the resources that he's had the entire time there. Zach Wilson was the starting quarterback, and that team went 7-10 last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. It's a joke. It's a flat-out joke. And stuff like that, it irks my nerves. The more I think about it and the more I think about Flash and what he was talking about yesterday, I mean, it irks me. The stuff like this bothers me. It really bothers me. So, and the thing that would make it so bad, I was one of those picking the Jets to win the division because I felt like all Aaron Rodgers had to come in and do was play competent ball, let the defense do their thing. I felt like that the New York Jets defense, I felt, was the best singular unit in that entire division. And because that offense is playing so subpar, they don't even get to truly show it week in and week out because they're usually falling behind. So, I mean, come on, man. It's a joke.
Mm-hmm. Undisputed world champ. Talk to me.
You know what? I'm going to just go ahead and say it. That is exactly why the Jets will never have a stable franchise, because of bull jive just like this. That is why Bill Belichick didn't want to be a part of it, because of bull jive just like this. This is why. Who fires a coach when you are 2-3? Now, granted, hasn't been the best season thus far. You're still in the first half of the season. You're still in the first half. And the thing is, Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions this last game. 3. So, it wasn't because you're out of sync with your receivers. You're not on the same page with them. You was arguing with them in training camp. Aaron Rodgers is and I'm gonna be real subtle about this. Aaron Rodgers is like one of those people who you get with, and then you realize that why they're single. That's what that reminds me of.
Lord.
He reminds
Where
me
my
of that.
drink at?
He reminds me of one of those girls, pretty smiles, 10, 10, 10, then you get
The
what?
minute she opened her mouth.
No, it ain't even when she opened out. The minute you get with her, you understand. I understand why they put you on the shelf and never took you off. Because good God, it's nasty. And you notice that there's a pattern of behavior. You notice that there's always a pattern of behavior. How can you be not cool with everybody who you ever crossed your path? You had problems with McCarthy. You won a Super Bowl with McCarthy. Matt LaFleur comes in. You have problems with him. You trying to undermine him. Come on. Now you ain't been in the building but 20 seconds. Because last year, let's just face it, you was out of there quicker than the hiccup. You walked on the field and you hopped off. But you was out of there quicker than the hiccup. If anything, you should have took the same approach that Kirk Cousins did. Get in the camp, get around your guys. Hell, guess who the first, although a quarterback was drafted in Atlanta, guess who the first person to call Michael Penix Jr. was outside of the coach and everybody else? Kirk Cousins. That's how you do it. So the thing is this. You are a diva, and you're acting just like the guy who preceded you, just like Brett Favre. Remember, towards the end of his career, everybody, it's your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault. Then, same thing, end up going to Minnesota, the perfect situation. He was clashing with Brad in his offensive play calling. Remember, they had a clash on the sideline that even Steve Young had to say something about, that even Steve Young had to come in about because of his incident with George Seifert back in the day. But the thing is, man, look, I don't understand why that franchise. I can understand if this was like a 28-year-old quarterback and you just made an NFC championship. Like I said last night, and I hate to be repetitive. If Joe Burrow goes to Mike Brown in their front office and say, look here, if you don't sign Jamar Chase and T. Higgins tomorrow, I ain't walking on the field. I wouldn't blame him for it. Because the thing is, you're going to be in that franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. You have pull. You're gonna be able to see everything through that you're trying to plan. But to give a 40-year-old quarterback that kind of power when he might not even be there past this year. He might not even be there past this year. And people are saying, go and get Devontae Adams. For what? You already got an excess as it is. Like I said, on many of occasions, it's kind of like having a big old buffet, but ain't nobody eating because the food nasty, and you bring burnt steak to the buffet and expecting folks to eat it. It's already excess of nasty food anyway. And if Devontae Adams is miserable in Oakland, can you imagine what's going to happen when he goes to New York?
Vegas.
Being part of the Jets franchise? Oh, it's going to get extremely ugly. Not to mention the New York media. So the thing is, all of this is Aaron Rodgers following the steps of his predecessor, Brett Favre, being diva, and they talk about these receivers being diva. I have never seen a quarterback that was such a malcontent in my life. You see quarterbacks that want franchises to make certain moves and stuff like that, but Aaron Rodgers is a malcontent. It's like he's never satisfied. It's like you're never satisfied. People can give you, it's just like somebody can give you the world and you'll betray them for an apple. It's disgusting. And it's just like, after a while, you have to understand this. It's over. Because the thing is, you just got that. The funniest thing about this whole thing, you fired Robert Salah, and you instead of putting the offensive coordinator in charge, you put the defensive coordinator in charge. So this is still going to be a defensive team.
That makes no sense.
It's still going to be a defensive team.
None.
And Nathaniel Hackett, who you saw what happened in his first year with Denver. He was a 3-trick
Ugh.
pony
And why was he there?
because of Russell Wilson. Because of Aaron Rodgers. He had that good year with Aaron Rodgers, those good couple years with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And they
And
hired
there was
him.
a possibility that Denver, they could have tried to get Aaron Rodgers instead of Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And it's just, and my thing is, look, people made a big stink, a big huge stink because of all the amenities that Russell Wilson had asked for in his contract when he first signed with the Denver Broncos. You know, he wanted an office at the facility and stuff like that. But the thing is, and people accuse Russell Wilson of a lot of things. Stop being a politician. I would rather have a politician on my team that knows when to close their mouth than to be going through all of this media nonsense with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. People, if this were any other quarterback outside of Aaron Rodgers, do you think he would get away with it? Just like with the whole Brett Favre situation. With him, you know, I don't think I want to retire. I'm retiring, stuff like that. If it was any other guys besides those two guys, would they get away with it? The answer is no. They will be called out for exactly what they are, fraud. This is about you. This is not about the team. This is about your notoriety. This is about your reputation. And the thing is, if you have a young quarterback like a Jordan Travis who's on that team, who came back from a broken leg last year from Florida State, what message is that sending to him? Him sitting behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Because history has a way of repeating itself. You saw the way Favre was acting in Green Bay. And lo and behold, Aaron Rodgers is even worse. What message is that sending throughout your franchise? Because if you're able to get a coach fired like that, and you're not going to be even in the franchise for the next at least 2 years, how are the players that you have under contract going to respond when their contracts are up? Because they could very well say, I'm out of here. Y'all too dysfunctional for me.
Y'all make great points about Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers deserves a lot of culpability. But I'm going to put this more on the Jets organization with Woody Johnson. I mean, come on, man. Look, it was reported that Robert Salah was escorted out of the building by security. He was expecting that it was going to be business as usual. My thing was how unprofessional you were in the part of Woody Johnson to do that. If you want to fire him, fine. Fire him because of the results. But the way you handled it, totally unprofessional. And then on top of that with the New York Jets, this is, to your point, BRF, this just shows another level, example of incompetency. Remember how it was with Adam Gase as the head coach? Do we need to remind folks how bad it was with Adam Gase as the head coach? And who was there? Who was the quarterback during that time? Sam Darnold? The same Sam Darnold right now with the Minnesota Vikings, who's now in the conversation of the MVP. And shout out to our guy Kieran, because he was making the case for Sam Darnold having a big-time year this season. The New York Jets, they haven't been to the playoffs since 2010, the year when they went to the AFC Championship for the second time in a row, because the year before they went to 2009 and they went to 2010. They have struggled as an organization. It's a laughing stock as an organization. Aaron Rodgers, him there in New York, look, they did it because they were so desperate enough because they wanted to move on from Zach Wilson. They felt like if we get Aaron Rodgers, even if he was 40 years old or whatever, we could actually compete. And look, Aaron Rodgers, he's a diva. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. I have him top 5 of all time, but as a personality, he's a head case. And we talk about a lot of quarterbacks with personalities. Man, Cam Newton, he got a lot of criticism for his personality. Now, Aaron Rodgers, now in my opinion, he's gotten the pass because, of course, what he's done as a football player. He's accomplished. Aaron, say whatever you want about him. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. No question about it.
Oh, his first ballot. His first ballot.
First ballot, easily. But
Easy.
Aaron Rodgers as a leader, oh my God, he's awful. And look, I mentioned this months ago, I think. Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins? Who do we trust coming into the season? Kirk Cousins has said and done all the right things. Even if the Atlanta Falcons acquired him, drafted his apparent successor and Michael Penix Jr., Kirk Cousins has said and done all the right things. And Kirk Cousins, to his credit, has actually played well. His last game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Thursday Night Football, he had a career high 509 passing yards and the game-winning touchdown pass against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who has won the division not once, not twice, but 3 consecutive seasons. Aaron Rodgers, it goes to show you, as a leader, he's horrible. He's horrible, and physically, he's not what he used to be anymore. And for the New York Jets, you stuck, because what are you going to do? How are you going to find a way with Aaron Rodgers? And to your point, guys, if the younger players see Aaron Rodgers acting like that, they're going to emulate that. They're going to copy that exact behavior. How is that conducive to helping you win? Aaron Rodgers, we talked about him in the offseason and all this other stuff. That's all we talk about with Aaron Rodgers besides football. We talk about more about Aaron Rodgers off the football field, the things that he said, the things that he's done. Aaron, you wanted to go somewhere else to compete for a championship. And it'd be great if you won a championship in New York. But again, man, your personality, your diva ways, your tendencies, it doesn't work. And with the Jets organization, that's on you as well. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into by acquiring Aaron Rodgers. Because no matter what his diva tendencies, his petulance or whatever, you felt like this is the guy that's going to help us get to compete for a Super Bowl and go far. So with Robert Salah, I believe he'll be okay. He'll get a head coach. I don't believe he'll get a head coaching job, but he'll get a defensive coordinator job in the NFL. That's what he's best suited. As for the New York Jets, who's going to be the guy for them? I don't see Belichick. I do not see Belichick, especially with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I damn sure don't see Belichick coaching the Dallas Cowboys. Who is the best type of head coach for the New York Jets?
I feel like what they're going to try to do. Yep, that's exactly who I think they're going to try to go after, particularly if Aaron Rodgers wants to ride it out one more year. They're going to try and go get Ben Johnson from Detroit, I feel. If I'm Ben Johnson, would I take that job? Hell to the no. But I think with Aaron Rodgers, they're convinced him to come to the Jets. I think Ben Johnson is target number 1 when it comes to the Jets' new head coach.
Or, I don't want to see this happen, but, you see how good Zach Robinson's doing down there with Atlanta. So I can see him possibly being a candidate, but I don't want to see that happen. But I
don't think Zach
with Aaron Rodgers in New York.
I don't think Zach leaves. I don't think Zach leaves after 1 year. I don't think he leaves after 1 year.
I don't think he leaves after a year, but I think they might try to lure him depending on how great that offense ends up being. But,
I agree. I agree. If what we say, yeah, I agree. If what we saw in Tampa is the norm, and they do that for the rest of the season, they're gonna try and throw a bag at him. I agree.
Yeah, let's hope that Aaron Rodgers can get along with him. But it's like I said, this is why the Jets are dysfunctional, because they make poor decisions with their players. And like I said, you got to ask yourself this: what are these players thinking when you get a coach fired at the beginning of the season with 5 games? Because each time it's hardly ever worked out when you fire a coach in the middle of the season. The only time in recent memory that we've seen it actually work out was with the Las Vegas Raiders when they fired John Gruden in the middle of the season. They actually made the playoffs. But the rarity of that, and you can blame a hell of a lot of that on the way Derek Carr conducted himself. How he conducted himself in the media, how he conducted himself with that team, how he was able to get the guys to rally around him, all of that. You can contribute a lot of that to Derek Carr, how he conducted himself. Especially that year was in turmoil, because, that same year, the Henry Ruggs situation happened earlier that year before John Gruden got fired.
Damon Arnett.
Yes, that situation as well. So, but look at the leadership qualities that it took in order for them to get to the playoffs. Does Aaron Rodgers have that he's going to be able to bring these guys together and get them to rally around him and push forward despite the dysfunction within the organization? I don't think he has it at this point in time right now. I think he still has them little diva ways, and that's what's going to hinder this team.